Well, hello scrappers, welcome back to my channel. Today we've got something kind of a little bit different. This is a viewer request video today. A viewer of my channel and fellow scrapper named Diane sent me these two cable boxes, and she says she has access to lots of them and was wondering what sort of good stuff is hiding within them. So thank you for sending me these cable boxes, Diane. I shall tear them apart, and we'll see what kind of good stuff they contain, and then you can tear apart all the ones you have access to and get the good stuff. So what do we got here? Well, the small one is a Dish VIP 211Z, and the bigger one is a Dish VIP 722K DVR. I suspect the DVR is going to have some good stuff in it. A DVR is basically just a computer optimized for video. So there's probably going to be a hard drive. Hey, if we're lucky, it'll be a solid state one, but we're probably not that lucky. We'll see. And a motherboard, and maybe a few other good things. Not sure what we're going to find in this little one. I think we'll save it for last, because I am just itching to dive into this one right here and see what's inside. Let's have a little bit of a look around first before we take the tools to it here and get the autopsy table all messy. Behind this door we've got a USB port. Generally you'd plug like a thumb drive in there that has movies on it you want to watch or something. And then we've got the card, and that card has gold on it right there, gold. So hey, we're finding gold already. We haven't even got into this doohickey, so that's good. We'll set that aside. Yeah, Diane, if you can get access to a ton of these, you'll get a little bit of gold. I mean, there's really not much gold on these. It's thin plating, but there's lots of videos on YouTube about how to get gold out of like SIM cards and things, and this is basically the same as a SIM card. If you can get a ton of these, you can get some gold off of them. Let's see what's in this other side over here. We just got some controls, some buttons. Okay, nothing too terribly interesting. Let's see what's on the back of it. Okay, the back. Well, we got a lot of RF connectors, some RCA connectors, none of them gold plated, unfortunately. That'd be nice. Let's see, we got HDMI connector, we got an Ethernet connection, another USB port, and a phone port. So all of these should have some gold pins in them. This is, I think, some sort of audio output port. Don't know what that'll have, if anything valuable in it. Okay, let me get the camera up on the tripod and we will start the disassembly. Let me see if I can get the cover off and we'll take a look inside. Okay, and away we go. It looks like, you know, and I've been fooled by this before, but it looks like there's just a few screws holding the top cover on. And naturally I have the wrong Phillips screwdriver for taking them out. Let me go find the right Phillips screwdriver. Okay, let's see if this one's going to work. Yes. I hope the lighting is okay. This is my temporary lab setup here. Things are in flux around the farm here. So, this is temporary. I'm going to do a little bit of landscaping around this area here. I'm going to move some things around. And then I'm going to have to relocate the lab again. But for now, it's here. So we'll see how this does lighting-wise. Okay, there we go. Cover comes off pretty easy. It's just steel, scrap steel for the recycling. Like I've said before in previous videos, I just don't have the room to store steel. So I'll store aluminum, I'll store copper, I'll store other stuff that I'll take to the scrapyard periodically and sell, but steel just goes straight in the recycling. I don't have the room for it. Okay, so what do we got here? Well, here's the motherboard. Got hard drive mounted up under here. Looks like we got a fan here. Got another board on the front panel. And looks like we got some RF tuning stuff over here. So let me see if I can get this crossbar off, which is holding the hard drive. Let's see if we can get that out. There's not as much in here as I was hoping. I was hoping there'd be just a whole lot of good stuff in here, but yeah, it's pretty minimal. As is the case with consumer electronics. They don't go overboard on consumer stuff. Okay, what's holding it on the front? That's a good question. Probably screws behind this front panel, I would imagine. How's this front panel come off? Doesn't look like there's any screws holding it on. Oh, looks like catches. Yeah. Normally, if you're doing a bunch of these, they're all the same. You'll waste a lot of time figuring out the first one, and then all the subsequent ones are really easy. Okay, there's just some plastic for the recycling. Nothing useful there. Well, let me look again. Thought I saw something, but no. Nope, just plastic. Okay, so yeah, we got a couple more screws here on the behind the front cover that are holding the crossbar in. There we are. Now we got cables going to the hard drive. We got power, and we got a SATA cable, which really doesn't want to come out. There we go, of the motherboard. And then we got something else. Oh, that was the fan connector. Okay. Wow, there's not much to that hard drive either. Not much electronics there. Let me see if I can get the hard drive out, and we'll look at it and see what its capacity is. It's not a solid state drive like I was hoping. It's obviously, you know, a mechanical drive with spinning platters. Oh well. Switch screwdrivers. That might work better. There we go. I've got a little fan mounted in here. 12 volt, 160 milliamp fan, plastic, no use, going in the recycling. Okay, so what do we got here? We've got, oh, it's a 500 gigabyte drive. That's a little bigger than I was expecting. So that's kind of nice. Still obsolete by today's standards, but kind of nice. Little short SATA cable. That's going to have gold in both ends. Power connector. There's going to be gold in this end of the power connector, so you'll want to save these connectors. We cut them off the cable. And then, of course, you got the drive itself. I mean, if you have a bunch of these, they have some resale value, but onesies, twosies, not really, because they're just too old these days. You know, you got some gold along the connectors up here. There's going to be some IC chips on the other side of this board. And I have a whole video about scrapping out old hard drives. I'll put a link to that up here in the upper right corner. You can check that out if you like. So if you have a lot of hard drives, you can scrap them out and get some money, because the case is aluminum, the platters inside are aluminum. This is probably steel, the backing. But there's a lot of aluminum in hard drives, and if you got a lot of them, you can make some money that way. Plus, you got, you know, gold connectors and IC chips on that. So that's the hard drive. Let's have a look at the motherboard. Well, as I was saying, there's not as much here as I was hoping. We got some IC chips. They're almost all BGAs, which is nice. BGAs have good gold in them. There are a few flat packs up here. Now these are Broadcom. This big flat pack here is Broadcom too. So my experience with Broadcom chips is they contain a fair amount of gold. But there's just not a whole lot of chips here. We got some gold fingers down here. I'm not sure what connected to that, but there's some gold fingers. We got a connector here going to the front panel PC board. Let me see if I can get the front panel PC board out. Looks like it's just got some more of these. Yeah. I will say one thing, this thing comes apart easy enough. I've taken apart a lot of equipment lately that's been a lot more difficult to get into than this thing, so that's good. Of course, I say that. Can I get this out? Okay. Okay, so we got a couple cables connecting to it. So, okay, brown, not a good color for PC boards. They're generally low-grade boards. Got a couple connectors. Looks like this one's soldered in. In fact, I'll bet I can just pop this whole board out of the plastic bezel here. Well, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so more plastic for the recycling. We got this board, low quality board, like I say. There's not a lot here. We got some LEDs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 LEDs. They're going to have a little bit of gold in them. There's some discrete diodes here. They'll have a little bit of gold in them, but they're almost not worth collecting because there's so little. You got a connector here. Has gold probably in both ends. This end is soldered in. This end is free, and if you pry that apart, you'll see the gold connectors in there. Oh, here's another LED I missed. That's the infrared receiver for the remote control. We got a USB port here, which is going to have some gold in it. Is this gold plated? Yes. Hey, that's nice. This end of the connector over here is gold plated. So you want to cut these connectors off the cables again. They've got some gold plating on them. Really, there's not much else of any value here. You know, a lot of scrap yards will buy old PC boards, pay you like $1 a pound maybe, if you're lucky. So, you know, just throw this in with your scrap boards. Then we got the motherboard, which, how is it held in? Looks like lots more of those small head Phillips screws. Let me see if I can get them out actually. You know what? We will switch to using power tools. Just because we can. As Mark Watley said in The Martian, because there's nobody here to tell us we can't. That's my new favorite phrase, by the way. Whenever I'm doing something I shouldn't, it's because, hey, there's nobody here to tell me I can't. Let's see, what was the name of that band back in the 80s? The Planet P Project. They had the song Power Tools Make Life Easy. They had that right. Okay, alright, so we still got another issue. I think I've got all of the screws out, but all these RF connectors have nuts over here that are holding them in. So I'm going to have to either get a socket or some bigger pliers to get these nuts off. So I'll pause the video while I do that. Okay, the battery in the camera went dead, but you haven't missed much. All I've done really is loosen up the nuts on the RF connectors here. So hopefully I can get this board out of here. Gotta watch the battery monitor because I don't think this battery is fully charged. So we could go dark again at any moment. this power cord disconnected. Well, I see how it works. Some you have to push in, some you have to pull away. That one you have to pull away. There's the power cord. Of course, you know, there's going to be some copper in this. Copper wire. So, alright, let's see if this board is going to come out now. No. Ah, I missed a couple of screws. They're hidden in amongst the RCA jacks. Like I said, you learn on the first one. If you've got a bunch of these to do, Diane, you'll learn on the first one, and then it'll take you like 5 minutes to strip down each one after that. There we go. Alright, so there's the board out. Well, it's kind of a semi-double-sided board. We've got a few more little flat packs on the back. They kind of look like maybe RAM chips. I'd have to look up the numbers to be sure. But, yeah, there's some MLCCs, a few other little ICs, tiny ones. This side, wow, there are a lot of discrete components on this side. A lot of capacitors, inductors, RF boxes. Not sure what's in those. We may have to pop the lids off a couple of them and take a look inside, just see if there's any goodies inside. Got this gold pin connector here, got gold fingers here. Broadcom flat pack, or Broadcom BGA, Broadcom flat pack, Broadcom flat pack. Another BGA. Let me set this aside. Just more steel for the recycling. So, you know, normally I would depopulate my boards in a kiln. You know, computer boards, servers, switches, you know, the IT stuff. I depopulate it in a kiln because they are just full of surface mount IC chips and other components. This one has so much stuff on it that I really don't want, that I don't think I would do it that way. All these capacitors would explode in the kiln, fill the kiln up with debris. I think on a board like this, if I had a bunch of them, I would probably go at it with a heat gun and just sort of be targeted in what I take. Take all the flat packs, all of the BGAs. There's no gold in these connectors, so there's really no point in taking them. There are some, you got the HDMI, USB, Ethernet, and phone connector. They're all going to have a little bit of gold in them. These, you'll get these off with the heat gun too. They're through hole. Just hit them with the heat gun for a few seconds and they'll come right off. And I don't know, there's some aluminum heat sinks here on these big power transistors. If you want to, you can go after the power transistors and the heat sinks. It might be kind of a pain to get. Here's some more power transistors. You could go with diagonal cutters and cut some of these parts off if you wanted to save them. I mean, there's some big power diodes here. They may have whiskers of gold in them. But I'm not really seeing a whole lot else I'd want to keep, really. What I would probably do is just take what I want to keep off the boards and then sell the boards to a recycler. That's probably, you know, your best bet. Take the stuff that's got real value to it. The IC chips, the connectors, the gold-plated connectors, the fingers. Fingers come off real easy, especially on a board like this. Just like so. And there's the fingers. That just takes 2 seconds. Okay. Those will pile up. You got a lot of these to do. You know, take this connector. But the rest of it, I'm not seeing a lot of value here. Let me look inside one of these RF boxes here and see. Sometimes there's good stuff in there. You know. Sometimes, but apparently not this time. One tiny little IC, flat pack IC, and one quartz crystal. That's all that's in there. We look inside. This has the look of a tuner to it. I don't know if that's what it is. That's just what it looks like. It's what tuners in old school TVs used to look like anyway. So, yeah, we're not doing too good here either. We got a couple little ICs, basically. That's it. There's a few discretes on the other side, another quartz crystal, a couple capacitors, but still not a whole lot here. So, oh, and one other thing, I would bet, oh, I can't see it, I'll bet there's gold contacts for this card reader, where this card slid in. Because usually, you know, if you get gold on the card, it's almost always gold to gold. That's a good rule of thumb. So if there's gold on the card, there's probably gold on the pins that make contact with the card. And sure enough, there it is. There's steel, spring steel, with gold plating on the ends. Again, you can just take your diagonal cutters and you can cut off the ends with the gold on them, make a pile, and recover that gold plating. So that's about all I see that I would want off this board. You know, a couple easy to get power transistors. You can go after the harder to get ones in the corners here if you want. You can go after the diodes if you want. Takes a lot of them to make any serious amount of gold. There's some surface mount transistors. Each of them is going to have a gold whisker or two in them, but again, it takes a lot of them. There's some through-hole transistors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you get enough of these boards, those will add up because they have gold in them. They're right in here. In fact, I have a video where I took apart a DVD VHS player that was just loaded with these discrete transistors. I must have got 50 or 60 discrete transistors out of it easy, just with, again, with the diagonal cutters. I throw those in with my IC chips when I process them, with my plastic IC chips. Okay, here's the SATA connector. That'll have gold plating in it. Make sure you harvest that. Other than that, I would say, you know, leave all this other stuff, all these little torids, all these capacitors, transformers, big capacitors, all these connectors over here, just leave them on the board, sell the thing to a recycler. Sell a pile of them to a recycler. That's probably going to get the most money out of it, rather than trying to waste a lot of time trying to get all these little components off and doing something with them. Okay, let's move on to the other unit after I check the battery level. Okay, let's turn our attention to this smaller box. We didn't find a whole lot of good stuff in the big box, so I'm not going to get my hopes up much for the small box, but you never know. There may be some good stuff in here, and if you have, you know, if you can get a bunch of them, it adds up. So I learned some lessons on the first box. So I'm going to take these screws out. I'm going to take these screws back here out, around the RCA connectors, around the HDMI connector, because I got a feeling these are all probably going to have to come out to get the main board out. And then there again is a nut on the RF connector. Now the last one was a DVR. This one looks like more like your typical set-top box. So certainly has a lot fewer connectors on the back, so there's probably a lot less stuff inside. Okay, so what else is holding this case on? Looks like it's one piece. Oh, no, wait a minute. Okay. Ah! I forgot to do the walk around on this thing, didn't I? Before tearing into it. So we got another door on the front. We got another card with a little bit of gold on it. So there'll be another contactor in there with gold on it. Some buttons, probably infrared LED for the remote control back there. Looks like there's nothing on this side. This comes off easy enough. Recycling. But how does this cover come off? Oh, I think I see. So taking the screws out in the back was just the beginning. We've got all these clips that go around 3 sides of it, I think, that need to come off too. And then once you get them undone, I'm thinking the whole cover is going to come off in one piece. Maybe. If I'm lucky. Maybe. Definitely not made to come apart easily. Unless you know the secrets. Dish Network techs probably know the secrets. Okay. Oh, you know what? I see a couple more screws. I wonder. I take these out. Could have been worse. They could have been hidden under warranty void if removed tags. At least they're out in the open where someone more observant than me would see them. Aha! That was what it took. So, more plastic for the recycling. Okay. Well, this unit, even though it's smaller, it has about as much good stuff in it as the other one and less crap. I would say this is actually a nicer unit. If you can get a bunch of these, Diane, this is where your money is probably, because this has about as many good components. It's got a gold corner BGA, which, you know, I love gold corner BGAs. I've got a couple videos on YouTube. I'll put a link to them up in the upper right corner. These are about 1.1% gold by weight, and it's pretty easy to get the gold out of them. So, and we got some more other types of BGAs, which are going to be pretty good gold, I'm sure. The dust off, let me look at them. Not Broadcom, but still, I'm sure. Not sure what that one is, but these have the look of RAM chips. Got a flat pack over here. This connector here, I don't know. Oh, I know what that is. That's a power pass-through connector. It's heavily gold-plated. So here's the power board. It's sitting on top of this main board. And this power pass-through over here, this is all heavily gold-plated. I'll bet if I take these screws out, I can lift this power board right off the main board. And this connector will come apart. Ground wire off. Here we got another power cable, a little more copper wire. So I would bet with a little bit of prying, yeah, so you got gold plating in this connector here on the power board. Salvage that, otherwise this board really isn't worth much. Just sell it, scrap circuit board. And then of course you got gold connectors here. Okay. And of course you got the same thing here with the card reader. Gold plated pins there. Cut those off and salvage them. Let me see here. Take this board out entirely and have a look at it. Maybe we're lucky and there's some parts on the other side too. Double-sided would be nice. One whole screw holding that in. That's amazing. Okay. More steel for the recycling. What do we got over here? It looks like we've got sort of heat sink here. Yeah, we got another. No, that's not a BGA chip. What the heck? I guess it's to help cool this chip. Yeah, they put that heat transfer material on the back of the board, and it would contact the bottom of the board here to help transfer the heat out to the steel. Keep this chip cool. Alright. So on this board, well, first off, let me pop this open. Yeah, same thing as before. Just one little chip and a crystal in there. An MLCC or two, not a lot. So on this board we got, the gold corner BGA. That's definite keeper. You can get a lot of those. You'll get a lot of gold. A couple of other BGAs, 3 other BGAs, flat pack. Gold fingers over here. Some other small IC chips. Got your gold pins here. An LED there. On the back you got a couple really small IC chips and a couple, well, quite a few really small MLCCs. But other than that, there's not a lot here. Still, I would say that this board, yeah, it's debatable. It's debatable. Maybe they're about equal, but pound for pound, I would say this one has more precious metals in it than this one. But, again, pound for pound, if you're selling them to a scrap dealer, this board's a lot heavier because it's full of torids and capacitors and transformers and stuff that this board doesn't have. But those are really not valuable. So, yeah, I guess they have about equal amounts of precious metals on them, but, pound for pound, this board has more. So, okay. Again, no gold in the RCA connectors, but the HDMI connector, the USB connectors, and the Ethernet connector all have gold pins in them. So you'll want to salvage these. This one you could either do it in a kiln like I do, or you could do it with a heat gun and be targeted about it. I mean, there are a lot of little IC chips spread out all over the board, and there are not so many big electrolytic capacitors that are going to explode and make a mess in the kiln. So it might be worth actually throwing these in the kiln. I would probably cut the gold-plated pins off with diagonal cutters before putting it in the kiln. Save those, just so that this plastic doesn't melt and wind up covering the pins. So, let's see, anything else on this board that's any good? Not really. Consumer grade electronics again. This is why I like IT grade stuff or industrial electronics. They build them a lot more robust. They use a lot more gold and precious metals in them for reliability. They build in redundancy. Consumer grade stuff, they don't have that. And I'm stoked because my buddy who works in the IT department of a big multinational corporation that I used to work for years ago called me up last night and said, "Hey, we got a load of scrap for you. Bring the big empty truck." So tomorrow I'm going to go pick up a big load of scrap. Going to be computers and all kinds of industrial equipment. So I'm stoked about that. So anyway, thank you, Diane. This was a fun teardown. I hope I helped you figure out where the good stuff is in these things. And you say you have access to a lot of them. I don't know what a lot is. They're 10, 50, 500. I mean, if you get 500 of these, you're going to accumulate a fair amount of gold and other precious metals. 50, yeah, some. 10, it's probably still worth the effort, but you're not going to be making a lot of money. But thank you again. This was an interesting and fun teardown, educational to me and hopefully to my viewers too. And if anybody else out there would like to do a viewer request teardown, has a piece of equipment that they'd like to send me for me to tear down and show them what goodies are inside, what's worth keeping, just let me know. Hit me up in the comments. We'll work something out. I'll send you my contact info. We'll get it shipped over here and do a teardown video. So anyway, I hope you found this video entertaining, educational, informative, whatever, any or all of the above. Give the video a like, subscribe to see future videos, press the little bell icon that YouTube makes you press to get notified when new videos are coming out. They're coming out fast and furious. This is the second one I filmed today. And I've got more to do this week. I'm just back from a 2-month vacation. I've got a huge backlog of stuff to do, and I'm filming it all. So, subscribe to see those future videos. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.